welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be creating a centre pop-up step card. Now it's a really nice card because it sits really nicely on like a mantelpiece and it looks really different, but then equally it folds up nicely to go into an envelope as well. And I'm going to create it using this 12 Days of Christmas First Edition paper pack from DRK Crafts. So I'm going to quickly flick through this so you can see what's inside. You've got some really nice specialty papers at the beginning. I know you can't see the whole thing on here because my space isn't big enough, but hopefully you can get a good idea. So the first ones are specialty papers that are single-sided, and this one, I don't know if you'll be able to see on camera, but it's got a really nice texture to it. It's quite heavyweight with a really nice texture. And you've got these drums which have glitter on them, and you get 3 of each sheet in this pack. It's a 48 sheet pad, so it's really big. You've got the glittery trees, you've got these foiled kind of like 5 gold rings type thing, and then you've got these which I think would be so lovely if you were like making a kind of 12 Days of Christmas advent calendar or something like that, like a Christmas countdown type thing, but also really nice for toppers on cards as well, that are all the numbers with the like symbols from the 12 Days of Christmas song, and that's obviously foiled as well. All the numbers are foiled. And then we get on to the kind of like normal papers. So then we've got these turtle doves. We've got these cut apart ones too. Look out, because I'm going to be doing a whole video on these cut apart soon. They're really nice. And then we've got the turtle doves. And then we go into double-sided designs. So we've got these sentiments with the pattern on the back. We've got poinsettia with this on the back. You've got this text which is actually the words from the 12 Days of Christmas with the music on the back. You've got these kind of wreaths with Merry Christmas on, which are nice kind of sentiment pieces with stars on the back. You've got these nutcrackers with the stripes on the back. You've got the snowflakes with the pattern on the back. You've got the candy canes with the polka dots on the pack. You've got the bells with the music on the back. So it's a really nice paper pad. I just wanted to show you it all because I always think it's really helpful if you're looking to buy something to see everything that you're going to get, because sometimes that's not so easy on the pictures on the websites. So to create my card, I'm going to start with a 5x7 piece of this really dark green cardstock, and then I've got a 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 piece of the red, and a 4 1/2 by 6 1/2 piece of this textured cardstock from the pack. And I'm going to layer those up. So this is going to be like the back piece of my card. And I will say I've taken this card shape from Iced Image Designs, which I will link below. She's got some really nice kind of ideas for 3D and fancy fold cards. I really liked this one when I saw it, and I thought it'd be really nice for this paper pack. So you'll find as you go through that my measurements aren't exactly the same as hers, more for the kind of pillars that we'll be creating than anything, but the actual structure of the card is very much taken from her. And so then I have created the structure of this card quite purposefully because I am using UK A4 cardstock, and UK A4 cardstock is 11 3/4 inches wide. Obviously you can make this with any size of cardstock, you just might need to cut it a bit differently, but I've cut this specifically to be the full length of A4 cardstock, so I'm not wasting. So I've got this 5x5 inch piece, so I've cut the A4 cardstock at 5 inches, so I've got a 5x5 inch piece, and then I cut the other piece in half, so each of these pieces is 3 3/8 by 5 inches, and I'm going to score those at 3/4, at 1 1/2, at 2 1/4, and at 3 inches. And this is why I have changed the dimensions from the Ice Image Designs one, because I don't like ending up with loads of bits of kind of scraps of cardstock, so I prefer it to fit across. And like I say, you can always amend it again to fit your particular size of cardstock if you wanted to do that. So then these pieces are going to kind of form the post that will hold up the front of the card. So I'm going to fold these along these score lines. And then when I'm making kind of 3D stuff, my preference is to use a strong tape. So I'm going to use this tear and tape from Stampin' Up. I'm going to pop this right along that line there. So you'll see we've got 4 panels measuring 3/4, and I'm putting it on the smaller panel that's at the end, right next to the score line. And then I'm going to fold those around, and I'm going to line up this edge with the score line. So then I get this kind of square tube as such. I can't think of a better way to describe it. So those will be the bits that hold our front up. So let's create the front of our card. So I have got a 5 by 5 inch square of this green cardstock we've been using. This is from the Paper Box Limited, by the way. And then I've got some red, which is Stampin' Up Poppy Parade, and then I've got this piece of checkered cardstock for the front. But I want to create an aperture in those. So I'm going to do that in a very specific way. So I want each of the colours to have smaller and smaller apertures out of them so that you can see all of the colours in the middle as well as the outside. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take these 2 outside pieces together. Because the green's going to be on the back, that needs the smallest aperture. So I'm going to tape the red and the green together, and you'll see why in a minute. I think it's easier to tell you after I've cut this. So this is a 3.5 inch square that I'm popping, and I want to make sure it's in the centre of here. So I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. So now that I've run that through, I'm going to take those 2 pieces apart, and then I can line up the red and the checkered pieces. And then you can see it's very easy to line up our next biggest. So this one's about 1/4 inch bigger, and we can line up the next biggest, and because we've already got that frame cut in the red, we can make sure that we've got nice even spacing, and we'll get a nice even frame when we put the red one through. So we're going to cut that through both of those pieces. So now we've got this frame, and because of the way we cut it, we know that it fits beautifully on this frame. And then all we've got to do is use the biggest one, so that's another 1/4 inch bigger again, to cut a frame from this piece of the checked paper. So then I'm going to glue my frames together. So then we're going to turn that over, and we're going to put some tape around this aperture. And then I've got a 4 inch square piece of acetate that I'm just going to pop across there. Now I've got quite a lot of acetate in my stash that I'm kind of using up. If you don't have acetate already in your stash, you can obviously always use things like the windows off packaging and stuff like that for things like this. Don't feel like you have to buy new acetate. So then I'm going to run some tape down either side of this window. And then I'm going to attach these pieces to that tape. So now that's like that. And then we can attach this onto the card base. So I'm going to add some more tape on the back of here. Actually, the other thing that I'm going to do before I put these down is just to pop my embossing buddy along here, just in case there's any bits of tape sticking out from underneath the acetate, because I don't want this to stick when it folds. So now I can make sure there's no stickiness there. So then I'm going to line this up on my craft mat, because I know then that I need 1 inch at each end of this, and I know then that I'll have this right in the middle. And then I'm just going to fold that down so that I can really push those edges in. And that will also be how you fold it to put it in your envelope. It'll fold like that, but then it folds up to go on the mantelpiece. So you can see then we've got the shape of our card, and then I've just cut these out of the pack, which I thought would go on there really nicely. And then this again I cut from that sentiment page on the pack, so that can go on there. So I'm going to add the Merry Christmas on with foam strips, and I'll add the nutcrackers on with the foam pads.